Hi there, this is Ranjit, and in this video, I'm going to give out my thoughts about the Motorola Moto G series of smartphone. And if you have been following Motorola the earlier days when it was with Google, the Moto lineup was very streamlined. We had the E series, which was at the base. We had the Moto G series that was in the middle, and the Moto X series used to be their sort of flagship. And but when Motorola went to Lenovo, things started changing, and I feel the Moto G series is the most important lineup in Motorola smartphones, at least in India, because they gather the largest volume. And Motorola launched the the Moto series when it was with Google. The camera was mostly the weak point, and Moto G4 changed that. Moto G4 was very surprising. The camera was a huge improvement, and it could compete with a lot of other smartphones. But the Moto, the G series, the G4 Plus, if I remember, had some heating issues because of the Snapdragon 617. And last year, Motorola with the G5 series launched a lot of smartphones. And this is the problem I have with Motorola as of now. I'll tell you the model numbers. I had to write it down, but there's so many models that were launched. With the G series, they had the Moto G5S, the Moto G5 Plus, the Moto G5S Plus, and the Moto G5 regular. As you can see, the entire lineup is now so confusing, and I feel it's unnecessarily confusing most of the users. For example, let's talk about what Motorola did last year. Let's first talk about the Moto G5S. This had a 5.2-inch screen, and it had 16 megapixel rear facing camera and a 5 megapixel front facing camera. And they had this. This was the slightly premium version, Moto G5 Plus, and a lot of people actually bought this one because this one also had a very good camera, but the design was improved. It has slightly bigger screen size, 12 megapixel rear facing camera with f1.7 lens, and this was running on the Snapdragon 625 chipset. And I still feel in the Motorola's lineup, the Moto G5 Plus had the best camera. Yes, then they panicked Motorola after a couple of months, and they launched the Moto G5S Plus, which was nothing but the same Moto G5 Plus, but now with the dual camera setup. And if you have followed my review and stuff, you'll know that the implementation of dual camera, yes, dual camera was there and we had that bokeh effect, but the implementation was not that great. And for static pictures, I would say the Moto G5 Plus did a far better job. There was some lag with that dual bokeh effect and all those things. So the Motorola was very confused. They simply just launched the Moto G5S Plus because everybody last year were launching dual camera setup. Apart from that, we are missing. It's not end. There was one more smartphone that was launched by Motorola in the G series that was known as the Moto G5, and this had a 5-inch screen and based on Snapdragon 430 SoC, a 13 megapixel camera and a 5 megapixel camera. So now you see we have we have 4 different smartphones in the Moto G5 lineup, and it just confuses all the users, and it looks like the company is also confused. What are they trying to produce? I just hope in 2018 with the Moto G6 lineup, they don't confuse consumers by launching so many variants. They should have concrete models. I'll come to some of the leaks, I'll talk about that, but as of now, the last year lineup, I feel, was a total mess. They unnecessarily launched so many models, thereby diluting their portfolio. That way, I like Xiaomi, for example. They launched some good phones, and for example, the Redmi Note 4 was a very popular phone last year. For example, this year it will be the Redmi Note 5 Pro. So very strong phone. So Motorola should do that. The Moto G, let's say whatever G6 Plus or whatever they launch, it should be a very strong player, and not launch 4 or 5 models in just a couple of months after that, diluting their whole portfolio. Apart from that, I was really saddened what Motorola did last year with the Moto E series. Moto E series were considered good budget-oriented phones, but sadly, the last year's model, that was the Moto E4 Plus, it was a phone with a lot of battery backup. But again, the choice of the processor they used one of the older MediaTek processors. I won't say all MediaTek processors are bad, but the one that was used in that was sluggish, and the phone performance was great. So thereby degrading the value of the Moto brand. So I hope this year Motorola with their G6 lineup streamlines their portfolio and makes it like Okay, E series, one good E series phone. G series, there are rumors there'll be multiple, but at least don't dilute it by launching 4 or 5 models and confusing the users further. And I feel Motorola still has a chance in this market. Yes, it's become very crowded now because Honor has become very aggressive in the last 6 months. For example, the Honor 7X and some of their lineup. Now the Xiaomi has come up with their Redmi Note 5 Pro, which also has a very good camera. But I feel the Motorola has some strength. For example, pure stock Android is a good strength of Motorola, and if they can like work up on their camera a little bit more, especially if they're coming with the dual camera setup, I feel there is a good chance for Motorola. But again, they shouldn't continuously just delay it again and again, because other vendors are not stopping in the market. But there are some problems with the Motorola phones. Again, regarding the Android security update, the situation is not very clear. Yes, they do get updated about once in 3 or 4 months, but look at the competition. We were discounting Nokia came last year. Yes, they don't have so many models, but the existing models, what they have, they are providing Android security updates every month. So Motorola was known earlier for that stock Android experience. Thankfully, that is still there with some Moto enhancements like Shake and whatnot. But in terms of Android updates, security updates, Motorola is falling short to many of the new players that are coming in the market. And I know many of the Moto users, I do get a lot of feedback from users, are annoyed with that. So I hope Motorola, instead of just flooding too many models in the market and thereby not able to provide updates in a timely fashion, lessens their portfolio, makes it stronger, and provides updates at a timely manner. This is just a feedback and a suggestion that I have. You guys agree with that or not? Let me know. Now, moving to some of the leaks that we know. Again, this year the Moto G6 series will be launched, and again the G6 Plus will be sort of their premium one. And finally, Motorola is also going to move to the 18:9 screen aspect ratio, like most smartphones that are launched this year. So the Moto G6 Plus, this will be the bigger version, and this will have 5.9 to almost 6-inch screen and the 18:9 aspect ratio, and this will be powered by the Snapdragon 630 SoC. These are what rumors say. I hope they go on 630 was used in the Moto X4, and that's a processor that was used last year, so I'm silent about that. It's not the Snapdragon 630 is an underpowered processor, but again, we have more powerful processors like the Snapdragon 636, which is significantly much powerful compared to the Snapdragon 630, because it has the cryo cores, and we also have the Snapdragon 660. So I doubt Motorola will go with that, because all rumors point to Snapdragon 630 SoC for the Moto G6 Plus. But let's see if we get the 636 or maybe the 660. 660 won't happen because the pricing of 660 is actually pretty expensive. And it's rumored that again this Moto G5 Plus will come with a dual camera setup for the rear facing camera. That's a 12 megapixel and a 5 megapixel. I hope this time your implementation, Motorola, is rock solid, and the delays that we were getting when we were using that depth effect or the bokeh mode is simply not there, because now other players like the Xiaomi and even Honor are providing that dual camera setup. And for example, the Redmi Note 5 Pro simply does not have any lag when you use that dual camera setup. So I hope Motorola pays attention to that. We are also hearing that there will also be a regular model of the Moto G6. This will have a slightly smaller screen in the 18:9 aspect ratio. This is rumored to have a screen size of about 5.7 inch, and this will be powered by the Snapdragon 450 SoC. So the pricing will be very important, because if you just recall, Xiaomi just recently launched the Redmi 5 with the Snapdragon 450 SoC. So the pricing of this one will be important, but it's rumored that this one also will come with a dual camera setup, so that will be interesting. And there is also one more rumor that Motorola might also launch the Moto G6 Play, and I'm not happy with that. Again, they're trying to dilute their portfolio. So what do you think about the Moto G series, and what do you feel Motorola should do to revive this series? And if you own a Motorola phone, what is one suggestion you guys have for Motorola? And what are your expectations with the Moto G6 series, like the Moto G6 Plus, etc.? Would love to know your thoughts. So do share your thoughts in the YouTube comment section below. And if you're still not subscribed to my YouTube channel, hit that subscribe button. Thanks for watching. This is Ranjit, and I hope to see you in my next video. Take care, guys.